This is a read of Sean Diddy Combs' expose by the Rolling Stone. Everything that I state during this podcast is alleged. I am not exposing, I am just reading what was already written. Stay tuned. Today I'm going to do a full read of the Rolling Stones' expose of Sean Diddy Combs and all of the allegations that's been surrounding him with a slew of lawsuits. One that is highlighted is a lawsuit that was filed against him for over $30 million by his ex girlfriend, singer and model Cassie Ventura. In the lawsuit, she had a list of shocking claims of abuse, sexual assault, and even sex trafficking. Since then, a video was released on CNN about 2 weeks ago that showed the music mogul physically assaulting his ex girlfriend, Cassie Ventura, inside of a hotel in Los Angeles back in 2016. The close friend of Cassie Ventura, Tiffany, read, and also in Cassie Ventura's lawsuit that she filed, she claimed that Diddy paid $50,000 to the hotel to prevent the footage from seeing the light of day. Since then, there was a raid that happened at the home of Sean Diddy Combs. And many people are speculating whether the feds got the video footage during the raids where electronics were taken, and a series of other things that we have not been confirmed of. But we do know that there were phones and computers that were removed from his homes during a raid in Miami and also in Los Angeles, where the police held his two sons at gunpoint as they went through the home and detained them. No arrests were made. All right. So let's just get into this. We're going to read. And before we start the Rolling Stone article that I'm going to read, I want to give you guys an update in regards to this, because after he attacked Cassie Ventura, the LA District Attorney's Office confirmed that they could not press charges against Sean Diddy Combs because this savage beating was outside when it happened, is now outside of the statute of limitations. So he cannot be charged with the brutal attack against Cassie due to the statutes of limitations expiring. All right. So from there, many people said technically he could have been charged with other things, but let's just leave that up to your imagination as to why he was not charged. Now let's just move forward with an update. It looks as if the federal government, the feds, Homeland Security, are prepared to charge Sean Diddy Combs in this case in regards to allegedly sex trafficking and a slew of other charges. And this is going around and surrounding the many lawsuits that he has received. Since November, he has received 8 lawsuits, with 2 additional lawsuits occurring within just the past week. Now, during the same week that happened, more information revealed that federal investigators are preparing to bring accusers of music mogul Sean Diddy Combs before a federal grand jury. 2 sources familiar with the probe tell CNN, signaling the U.S. Justice Department is moving towards potentially seeking an indictment on Combs. Possible witnesses have been notified by investigators that they could be brought in to testify in front of a federal grand jury in New York City, according to one source. Bringing individuals who have filed civil lawsuits against Combs before a grand jury would mark a significant escalation in the government's ongoing investigation involving the producer and Bad Boy Records founder. Combs has been named in 8 civil lawsuits since November. Seven directly accusing him of sexual assault. One of the 8 lawsuits filed by former ex-girlfriend Cassie Ventura. Now, this is the information that has come out on CNN. Now, they're saying that there is a male sex worker that is looking to possibly step forward to testify in front of a jury along with a slew of other people. Now, the grand jury is there for them to review a case to see if they may have a case, and along with that, order for an actual indictment and an arrest will pursue from there. So what I'm going to do now is start this Rolling Stone article where the Rolling Stone, they said that they reached out to over 300 different friends, colleagues, associates of Sean Diddy Combs to have and ask about their perspective and their experiences with Sean Diddy Combs in regards to all of the allegations of his alleged history of abusing men and women throughout the industry. Now remember, the only proof that we have for sure that he has actually done anything is this actual video of him attacking Cassie, which he did put out an apology for, but he did not mention her name, and his team said he couldn't mention her name because of an NDA that they signed allegedly in regards to the lawsuit that he settled with her back in November of 2023. But outside of that, there has been a ton of stories that was released on Sean Diddy Combs that doesn't really sit in his favor from various colleagues, associates, in particular, Gene Dale, one of his former head of security at Bad Boy back in the 90s. He was there when the Notorious BIG was shot dead. And he gives the graphic, horrible story about that on the Art of Dialogue with a ton of other stories. So now we have the Rolling Stone. Make sure you guys share this podcast, hit the thumbs up, and make sure you guys share this podcast. I'm going to say that again because it's going to get good. Now, let me start with the first line. This is a very long Rolling Stone article. They only did a few highlights on social media, so I'm giving you guys this exclusive. And like I said, the Rolling Stone is not a free website to read. I read this entire article myself, and it's very long, so stick with me. If you got things to do, cleaning your house, whatever, take me to lunch, take me to your job. Let's get into this and hit the subscribe button. Once again, this is the DJ Jerica podcast where we talk about entertainment news, world news, and much, much more. Part 1. As he took the stage at the BET Awards in June 2022 to receive the Lifetime Achievement Award, Sean Diddy Combs was elated. Yeah, 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 yeah. He bellowed, punctuating his words with triumphant jumps. The adoring crowd who gave him a sustained standing ovation included his mother and children, longtime friends and music industry peers, Kanye West, Janelle Monáe, Babyface, and Lil Wayne. After 3 decades of relentless hustling that took him from hungry teenage intern to A&R executive producer, label impresario, respected fashion designer, and household brand name, Diddy has seemingly reached the apotheosis of his career. He closed his eyes and repeatedly thanked God. He got down on one knee and praised his mother. He name-checked a laundry list of people who'd mentored and inspired him. Anything I do is through love, Combs proclaimed early in the 9-minute speech. That's what I evolved to be. That's what I'm doing right now. But soon, Combs struck a more somber tone. I was in a dark place for a few years, he said. I gotta give a special thanks to the people that was really there for me. He listed friends and advisors, then looked directly into the camera. He added, Cassie, for holding me down in the dark times. Love. He raised his one hand to make an L sign and held his gaze steady, silently, for several seconds. Combs and Cassandra Cassie Ventura, a former singer for his iconic Bad Boy record label, had split 4 years earlier, but he had been openly pining for her since. He posted photos of her online and urged her to listen to Michael Jackson's The Lady in My Life. He publicly congratulated her on her first pregnancy with her husband. His comments at the award show were part of a pattern of behavior, one that had been tormenting Ventura for years. When she learned of her ex's latest remarks, sources say Ventura was distressed. She was also resolute. Almost 18 months later, in November of 2023, Ventura sued Combs, claiming he held her in a violent form of sexual servitude throughout the relationship and raped her upon their final breakup in 2018. She invoked Combs' BET speech in her filing. And quote, for Mrs. Ventura, the quote unquote dark times were those she spent trapped by Mr. Combs in a cycle of abuse, violence, and sex trafficking. She said Combs' brutal beatings, one of them captured in harrowing hotel surveillance footage obtained by CNN in May, left her with bruises, burst lips, black eyes, and extensive trauma. For Grammy winning songwriter Tiffany Red, a friend of Ventura's who worked closely with the singer during the height of the alleged abuse, Combs' words from the BET stage had been a taunt. It's like harassment, she explains. You're still fucking with her. Leave her alone. Leave her the fuck alone. In the 5 years after her breakup with Combs, Ventura remained silent. While he was posting about her pregnancy in 2019, she was negotiating in distress. Behind the scenes, to escape her bad boy contract, Red says. Despite Ventura signing a 10-album deal in 2006, Bad Boy only released one studio album by her. Combs was allegedly trying to tie her separation agreement to a non-disparagement clause. It's not like we're negotiating with just her record label. We're negotiating with her abuser, Tiffany Red said. Through her lawyer, Ventura declined to speak for this article. Combs did not respond to a request for comment on this allegation. So this is part one, all right? And we're going to continue to move forward because now, in this part, we're going to rewind back, way back, to when Sean Combs was just a teenager. A teenager in Howard University, where he started his career. But see, he didn't just start his career allegedly. And as I continue, remember, as I move forward, everything is alleged. The only proof that we've seen of his abuse was in the video footage. Now, make sure you guys understand that I am no fan of Diddy. However, I have to protect my platform and I have to say everything is alleged. Now, let's move forward. We're rewinding back to when he was in Howard University. And there's people that spoke up that was classmates of his that stated he allegedly abused his girlfriend back then. So let's get into chapter 2 of this Rolling Stone article. It goes, hold on. Like what you hear? Check out the rest of this podcast on Apple Podcasts and Spotify for the full entirety of the Rolling Stone article read. You guys, I got to make sure I protect my platform. It gets really, really intense, and it's MA for mature. So please follow me there on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and all the major streaming platforms to hear the full hour of part one. Thank you for your support and subscribe.